left, right.
Have you ever looked at another country and looked at their customs and culture and thought, that's odd? Well, in this episode of Sip Talk, we talk about the things that the other countries, cultures, when they look at the U.S., the things that they think, that's awfully strange, that I'll bet you never thought about. This is Sip Talk. Grab a drink and enjoy.
Francisco.
Cheers.
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 This is Sip Talk, episode 199. My name is Justin DiGiulio out of my basement in New Jersey, joined by James, the Bosniter Boswell. James is a philosopher, a retired professional referee, a bartender, and most exciting of all, an accountant. Tonight, I'm mic free, so I feel a little loose. I don't know what to do here.
What happened to your mic?
You couldn't hear me on the mic. So
Well, it might have been an issue on my end, actually. I don't know.
Yeah, well, we'll hope the audio quality is good tonight.
It's coming through pretty clear for me, so
We've got some cool stuff to talk about tonight. We are talking about. So I titled the episode "The Obnoxiously American." So we'll see how that title fits in with the content that we have. We did get a bit of a delayed start, so we're not live on TikTok tonight, but we're live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram. If you want to share some comments, jump right in. The only thing is we can't see all the comments on Instagram. They just come in too fast for me to notice and share. But I've been dying for a drink because the last 40 minutes while we've been troubleshooting mic problems, ready to pour a drink. What are you drinking down there?
Milwaukee's Best Ice. The best primer for a run.
Oh, yeah. That's, nothing like a little run with a couple of cocktails in your system. Not too many, but a couple is always nice.
Have you seen the Beer Mile?
I think I've heard of the Beer Mile. How much are you supposed to drink beer during it, before it?
During.
Presumably.
So it's 4 laps around the track. After each lap, you have to drink an entire beer.
Maybe lap 3, I think. We're definitely lap 4, I feel like, because lap 4 is the one you really want to fly on. But you're 4 drinks in, so
yeah, you start the race by drinking a beer, and then laps 1, 2, and 3 you drink a beer. So I think you end up having 4, and the world record is like ridiculously fast.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure you have some professional athletes that engage.
All right, so the Beer Mile. Take a guess as to what the world record time is right now.
I mean, I can't imagine it to be that. Is it that far behind the world record?
Considering how much more difficult it is to do a mile with 4 beers in you, which you have to drink while you're running,
I'm going to say about 4:20.
It's 4:28.
No shit, because I mean, you got to stop. The thing is the stopping and the starting. I figure. What's the record for the mile?
Like 3:43 or something.
Yeah. I was trying to account how long it would take you to chug a beer. But the thing is, I imagine some of the elite world class, world record runners, or runners up to that world record, are probably not big beer drinkers.
No.
So, you either have to be somebody who consumes a lot of alcohol to be able to compete on the alcohol drinking side, or you got to be somebody who consumes very little alcohol to compete on the running side. So it's an interesting one.
So one thing, if you want to maximize your performance in this one, like, you're going to want the beer at room temperature.
Yeah.
Ever tried drinking a cold beer really fast?
Yeah, but I'm just thinking what a warm beer would be like.
Well, you're not gonna like get locked up or like have like a brain freeze or anything.
Yeah, no, I mean, even with cold beer. So look, let's talk about what we're gonna talk about. Before we talk about what we're gonna talk about, let's talk about it. All right. Damn, I don't even know how do we end up on this topic?
I don't know. Like it was just an idea. There was an idea I had today, and a couple Google searches gave me some results. But it's basically things that are in the United States that aren't in the rest of the world, and things that are in the rest of the world that aren't in the United States.
All right. Can I get started? I want to share with you the don't litter sign that I saw on the side of the highway this weekend. I don't know how this is enforced, but I do know over the weekend, being in the Troy area, upstate New York, I saw a lot of litter, and including I watched several people. I was driving down the street, and this guy just had a bag of chips, and he just finished the last bag of chips and dropped the bag on the ground. And I just thought to myself, like, why is it? This is like Lansingburg, so this is a downtown residential city area that's had its heyday in probably the 50s and 60s.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's downtown. It's kind of like dense suburbia.
Oh yeah, it's not. It's north of downtown, but it's very dense suburbia. If not, I would, but it's all residential. So it's city,
Yeah,
but it's all residential. But just watching this guy drop the bag of chips in the ground, I thought to myself, like, is it that he's too lazy to go to a garbage can? Is it that which, like, on the spectrum, I think here is one, you dropped it by accident. Okay. Two, you're too lazy to go to the garbage can. And you think it doesn't matter. Maybe the next step up would be like, you're going to let the person whose property it was you dropped it on clean it up, or you just don't care to recycle, or on the other end is you're just trying to like stick it to the man, like fuck these people, like this is a shitty area, like, and I deserve more. I'm resentful.
Well, it kind of makes me think of when you bought that investment property like 15 years ago.
More than that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So you remember what happened when, like, so you go into the house and there's a whole bunch of garbage and stuff in there, and you're cleaning it out and like making some repairs and stuff. And as you're doing this, you're taking garbage and you're just kind of letting it pile up in the front yard with the idea that eventually you're going to like get either a dumpster or you're going to like bag it all up and put it in your car and take it to the dump. But you've got this growing pile of garbage in your front yard while you're in the middle of working on this, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
What happened next?
Well, from what I remember, other people started to throw their garbage on there, but actually a dump truck actually dumped a whole bunch of asphalt on top of it. Like, just they're like, oh, we got to clean out our asphalt hauler for the day. Let's just dump it on top of this garbage. And that was actually the arranged garbage that was outside on the sidewalk. So people just saw this as an opportunity to unload their garbage there. But I just, I was talking to somebody about this today, and they're like, I could get it a little more doing it like out the window of a car, right? Because then you don't have as much confrontation. You can escape more, especially if the car is moving. But I see a lot of people just do it like stopped in a car in New York City. But just, what is it that throwing your stuff, to me, it almost had this like resentful vibe. Like, fuck the people that have more, this is a shit town and I'm getting the shaft, so fuck everybody else. But in actuality, I was thinking then you're making your shit shittier.
Yeah, you're just making everything worse.
So, but after leaving this area, I'm driving south from Albany, New York, to New York City, effectively, and I'm going to Jersey, but it's the same route. And I pull into a rest stop, and I see a sign in the rest stop, and I passed. I didn't actually get a good shot to really look at it, but what it said, what I was able to read, just didn't make sense. So I assumed I must have missed some of it. Okay, and this is an anti-litter sign. So I went on Google Maps and I scrolled down to the highway, found the rest stop, and then I found the sign. I zoomed in and took a screenshot, and this is what the sign says: reasons why the Thruway is concerned about litter, and they give 2 reasons with several bullet points underneath. The first reason being safety, and I thought, oh, that may not have been the reason I would have led with, but I'm curious what dangers, a candy bar wrapper on the side of the road could. So they said debris on the road can cause accidents, and I thought, like, well, candy bar wrapper on the road probably. When I think of litter, I think of like candy bar, or like a wrapper or something, maybe a cup, but not something that's going to like really distract drivers. So okay, like good try though. That was
Well, you can actually like candy bar wrappers and stuff. If those get sucked up into the engine bay, then they can gum up all sorts of moving parts in the engine.
Yeah, I don't think the person that made the sign was thinking that.
No, it's not gonna. It's probably not gonna cause an immediate accident, but
No.
it might cause you mechanical problems down the road.
But the same thing could happen with a leaf. It's going into your air filter anyways.
Yeah, the difference is I'm talking about like if you've got like your serpentine belt or something like that, where if a leaf gets into that, like the most that'll happen is it might like briefly catch fire, but like it's not going to do anything. But like it's biodegradable, and it's not going to gum up. Where if you've got plastic, it'll melt and it can like get into parts.
I think you're really reaching on this one.
I am,
but I also don't think the person that so their first reason, safety. Debris on the road can cause accidents. I'm not thinking we're having any immediate accidents from candy bar wrappers, and we're kind of on the same page for the most part. I get it, you're reaching, fair enough, because we don't like litter, neither one of us. And then the next bullet point is litter in the rest areas is a health risk. And I thought, like, to who?
Well, if you've got food, if you've got like biological matter that's litter, then it'll attract animals and poop and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, okay. I'm on board with that, but the immediate health risks of a candy bar wrapper being on the ground, you've now derived kind of 2 levels from that, saying, well, then the animals come, and then the animals shit there, and then the animals might bite the people. We're going too far. Why not say it attracts pests? Okay, that's my issue with the sign. Is it's just a shitty sign, and then so there are 2 reasons: safety and environmental. And the safety reason is littering is illegal. Keep New York State beautiful. Litter is illegal. Keep New York State beautiful. And that was the environmental. So
well, yeah, it's
just, you see where I'm saying this sign could have said, "Don't litter. Don't be a scumbag. Don't litter. All right. Don't be trash. Throw away your trash. Don't leave it on the street." Something a little more catchy, but or food products. I've seen other don't litter signs that say, hey, if you litter your apple core or your banana peel, it attracts rodents which run out into the road, and then they can get hit and they can cause accidents. I've seen other signs, but this sign says reasons and this
let's move on.
All right, fine, fair enough.
So since we're on the topic of litter, like if you go to other countries, depending on what, some countries you'll find virtually no litter, and then other countries you'll find shitloads.
and that's why I brought this up. I was actually going to leave it out, but then I was like, you know what? I'm still kind of pissed at this. So look, where are we going first? What litter?
I don't know. Let's start with the travel a lot one, where things that you can find in the U.S. but you're not going to find abroad, and we'll start with free refills. You go to a restaurant, you get yourself a Coke. I don't know. Do you get free refills in New York?
I mean, if you go to like a Taco Bell or a McDonald's or something like that, I would say so. Do me a favor. Can you just put your cursor on whatever article you're reading so I can just open it up? Because I got all these articles. I don't know where they are. So I'll open that article. But free refills, I think usually we're talking about fountain drinks. And I don't really think anybody needs to have fountain drinks in the quantity of a large refillable cup.
Yeah, like this is if you're sitting at a restaurant. Like, Obviously, you're not going to have free refills on alcoholic beverages. Otherwise, that place would go broke.
Well, there are bottomless mimosa brunch, things like that.
Actually, yeah, the bottomless mimosas are super popular in Charleston, and like the quality of the champagne that they use, and it's not well, the quality of the sparkling wine that they use is so low that the orange juice actually costs them more than the champagne.
I would buy that. Yeah. Yikes.
Tipping.
Yeah,
That's really an American thing.
I like tipping, but I like the concept of tipping. I like the idea that a tip is to ensure promptness, and in that case,
That's not how they actually work.
But the tip then should be given in advance.
Right.
But however, that's not really how tips work. And now, one thing I really don't like is when you go to the cash register and they just spin the iPad around. And I don't know if we talked about this, but I know it's being talked about. They spin that iPad around, and and it starts at 20%.
You can always enter a custom amount, but it's just like, yeah, they're getting greedier and greedier with the amount of tips that they're starting as like the defaults for you to just like hit a one click.
It's insane. Like the bodega now I go to now does it, and it's like, what? I came to buy something for 99 cents. Why am I tipping on this?
Yeah.
So although I probably wouldn't use my credit card in the 99 cents purchase, but either way, you're buying 99-cent items. So what else we have?
Next one, flags on bathing suits, which I always thought was weird anyways. Like,
I don't think that's only an American thing, is it?
It really is. Like according to this, like most other countries find it really disrespectful to wear their flag as clothing. Now it depends, because like my girlfriend is Jamaican, and she showed me a picture which was of this dude wearing like a full like Jamaican flag suit with like a Jamaica flag hat, and
I mean, that's what I see when you see people going, through parades and things like that. I see. Now, I'll tell you one thing I don't see. I don't see a lot of Frenchmen with the French flag on their clothes.
Well, if they're wearing white,
I don't see a lot of Chinese walking around with the Chinese flag,
no.
On the back of their ass on a pair of pants.
Yeah, what you will see is at like sporting events, you'll see like fans will get like painted up. So like the Dutch Grand Prix last weekend, there was a huge section of the crowd that was like people were painted in like white and blue and stuff like that. So like when they were sitting in the crowd, it looked like the Dutch flag, but that wasn't their clothing. There was like body paint, and it was also like a sporting event.
Yeah, and it was pro country, as a to support a team, not I got an American flag pair of boxer shorts.
Right. Yeah. It's different because like if you're going to like a national sporting event or something, then it would probably be expected to see lots of that. But just to like wear it around every day or wear it to the beach or something, that would be pretty weird in other countries.
All right, what else you got here?
Openly carrying guns, which I think this depends highly on the country.
What other countries are open carry?
None of the first world ones.
Yeah, but also most states do not allow for open carry guns. But a lot of movement happening with the gun laws lately.
Like in like London, most of the police don't even carry guns.
Yeah, because guns are really difficult to come across. So
yeah.
you're not usually engaging in gun battles.
All right, this is a good one because like I've got a short story to tell about this. So it's called Too Many Options, but you just think about like if you go to a grocery store in the United States, think about how many different choices and like things there are for you to buy. How many different types of toothpaste are there? How many different brands of cereal? How many different brands of sugar? Just like granulated sugar. How many different brands of sugar are there?
Yeah, I mean, you could have an entire aisle the entire length of the grocery store or width, however you want to look at it. Usually whichever is smaller, but that's all oral care.
Yeah. So when I lived in Spain, I went to the grocery store to buy some deodorant. And in the United States, how many different options do you have for deodorant sticks? Like 30, 40, 50?
I mean the deodorant options are endless.
Yeah, in Spain it was like 2, which explained a lot of other things.
Like the smell.
But yeah, it's like oh, I guess I'm getting this one.
The old natural one that you smell like shit an hour later.
I feel like it did a decent enough job. I just feel like maybe they needed to expand their deodorant selection a little bit wider. Maybe get a marketing campaign going for the locals.
Yeah, I found a European brand of toothpaste I really like, and I've always ordered it since. So you know
All right, so this one, smiling at strangers, which
that.
I think that depends on where in the States you are, because like you don't do that in New York City.
Um, no, but I would say New York City is people are very respectful of your personal space. Like you will ride in an elevator, you'll stand in line at the grocery store, you don't talk to strangers. Most other places where people are in close proximity, they acknowledge each other and smile. And in my opinion, especially after living in New York City, it's really fucking weird. Very, very strange. So I imagine a country like Russia, somebody's
Well,
walking down
really, all of Europe, it's like smiling at strangers or just like saying hi to somebody on the street that you don't already know. Like you just don't do that.
the
No,
no,
but like people,
gonna think you're special. They're gonna think you're special.
yeah.
Um,
Fried food.
um,
You're not gonna find a lot of that outside of the United States, with the
no,
exception of some English food is fried.
I disagree with that. I would think the quantity in which we eat it and as available as it is here. I'll tell you one thing. I have a couple clients right now that are restaurants, and all of them want fryers. And the ventilation for that pre-installed because they just make so much fried food. But most of the other cuisines I can think of have a lot of maybe not deep fried. I'll say maybe deep fried here is much more common.
Yeah, that's what I'm referring to. Because like, yeah, if you have pan fried stuff, that's different. But yeah,
Okay.
like having a deep fryer.
Yeah, deep fryer is very, very common here. You probably don't see them quite as often, but I don't necessarily. I mean, I'm just thinking like Chinese food. A lot of wok fried, pan fried food. Um, Latin America, a lot of fried food. South America, a lot of fried food. I couldn't tell you about Australia. Uh,
No, I don't know.
African food. I can't see that being super common in African food, but it beats me. What
Next one on the topic of food, so like food as entertainment, and so you can think about like eating competitions, competitive eating.
I will say that's very American. That's what we do on 4th of July. Pie eating, hot dog eating, which is fucking disgusting.
Yeah, I don't understand like how that became popular. Like I can understand like a niche community or just looking at it as like a novelty, but like there's a professional circuit for competitive eating.
Well, I would say, wow, it's amazing this person can eat in great quantities. But that's not something I would be maybe proud of, or you might want an award for. It to me, it makes me think of like kind of old school carnivals, like
Well,
World.
and it's held on Coney Island, which is old school carnival.
Yeah, yeah, fair enough. So maybe it's derived from that aspect, but a contest to see who can eat the most is
Have you
kind of
ever watched one?
not in person. I watched them on TV.
I've seen cover. Like it's revolting, dude. Like everybody looks really unhappy.
Yeah, and to me, it's almost the anti-sport because you're like
Well,
hurting.
What's weird is that, like, for the people that are like the top competitors, like if you look at them, like their physique is not like super fat. You would think like someone who weighs 800 pounds would be a shoo-in, but like some of these people are relatively thin, and like they go through a lot of training to like expand the capacity of their stomach and stuff like that. But it just looks really unpleasant to do, and like there are other sports where like suffering is part of the sport. So you can think about like boxing, where like you're just getting hit in the face, or any endurance sport where you're just like pushing your body to its limits, but like you're at least doing something, and like whereas this you're just eating.
Okay, I mean, but there's there's arm wrestle. There's also the competitions where people slap each other in the face. Like that seems very much in line with kind of one of those weird ass.
Yeah,
The skill is so minute, right? Like the skill it takes. Although I would say competitive eating, I don't know, being able to take a slap in the face too. Both of them probably require a great deal of skill. I don't know. It seems asinine to me. What's next?
I'm scrolling down. So this is niche, but solo cups. Like you go to any party in the United States, you're probably going to be able to find like these disposable cups, and apparently that's just not something that you will easily find in Europe. Although when I was in Spain, I'm pretty sure that like we were able to get something like them because we played quarters a lot.
Quarters requires a solo cup or requires just a cup?
It just requires a cup, but I think I think we got like small disposable cups, not like the big 18-ounce ones.
Were they red?
No, I think they're like clear plastic.
I really don't like the red solo cups. I am not. I'm not.
Why not?
They to me sound. I instantly think like frat party. Like you could have just gotten a regular clear cup or a white cup, but the red ones to me just scream frat party. I don't even like buying them when we have parties at the house.
Yeah, I guess I like them because I have favorable memories of them from college, which I wasn't in a fraternity because we didn't have them in my school, but we did our best to drink as much as a fraternity.
All right, what do you have next?
All right, next up, and this is yeah, so just super old stuff. Like our country's only been around for like 300 years, so like there's not.
Hold on, wait. You can you hit me with this list that we're following? Because I can't. In the background, I've clicked like 6 different lists.
I'm skipping through stuff. All right, so we're on the Bored Panda one now.
Okay, and it would be nice to give a little reference to because I'm looking at the list I thought you were following, and I'm looking.
No, I skipped through the rest of the stuff on the travel log because I didn't like them.
Some of these are really good.
Well, then you could talk about them if you like them.
I don't know what you're going to hit next. This is the issue. I want to throw some of these out here. I think you might be skipping. So now you're on number one of Bored Panda. Yeah.
Yeah, like you go to a city and like when I was in Spain, there were a whole bunch of buildings that were like 800 years old, 1,000 years old. And you're just like, yeah, this has been a hotel for like the last 1,000 years.
We definitely do not have. We are lucky if we have a building that's 100 years old in some of our oldest cities that have been here for.
So actually, in Charleston, there's a couple buildings that are like over 300 years old. Because that like
old by American standards.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some buildings that were built in like the 1650s to like 1700. Like, oh yeah, I can't believe we didn't hit this one yet. The metric system.
Well, you skipped that one on the other one. Yeah. So you want to read what the comment is here, because I think it's just go ahead.
By Josh Basil. In metric, 1 milliliter of water occupies 1 cubic centimeter. It weighs 1 gram. It requires 1 calorie of energy to heat up by 1 degree centigrade, which is 1% of the difference between its freezing point and its boiling point. Whereas in the American system, the answer to how much energy does it take to boil a room temperature gallon of water is go fuck yourself because you can't directly relate to any of those qualities.
The imperial system is the American system.
Yep.
And that comes, I think, from England.
And there's like 2 other countries that use it.
Yeah, probably England and.
No, England doesn't.
I thought England they work on the pound. Their dollar amount is the pound. The pound is
right.
there.
The imperial system of like miles and feet.
Yeah, that's it. That's English.
It originated there, but they use the metric system. Now.
Okay, fair enough. But the fact that somebody's just like, hey, this is the length of my foot. We're going to measure things this way.
I was right. 3 countries: USA,
Okay.
Myanmar, and Liberia.
I don't know if I trust that list, but I do know they use miles in England. I'm pretty.
No, they're familiar with the concept. Like they're more familiar with like what a mile is compared to other countries, but they still use like kilometers and everything for all of their measurements.
Well, I mean, that system, it just works so much more easily. You can actually see how these quantities and these amounts are based on each other, so you can see the whole system, how everything is regulated.
Yeah, there's not really any advantage to the imperial system besides the fact that it was what we were taught.
Yeah,
like, we're familiar with it, but that doesn't mean it's better.
What's the next one?
Next one, taking the bus or just public transport in general. Like, it's if you're taking the bus in the United States, like it's automatically assumed that you just must be poor.
Yeah, it's even New York City. The bus is a really good way around. A lot of people do not get on the bus. I mean, a lot of people obviously the bus are pretty packed. But when I talk to people, I'm like, oh yeah, just jump on the crosstown bus. They're like, I don't want to do the bus. It's the fastest way around. But a lot of places, if you're taking the bus, it means you don't have a car, and Americans are very car centric.
So New York City is probably one of the most bus favorable cities in the country, and even in New York City, it's got a relatively low appeal. And of all the cities in the country, that's the one where it would have the highest appeal. So just imagine like how bad it would be in a city that doesn't have like a really strong public transit system. Yeah. Like when I was in Spain, like everyone took the bus. Like it's like, who cares? Like it's right here and it's $1. Go ahead. Like when I finished a soccer game once and like I got on the bus to go back to where I lived, and like if you go to a soccer game in the United States, how did the players get there?
They got there on a bus.
No, in the United States.
In the United States? I mean, well, I'm thinking pro athletics.
Oh, no, I'm talking like a youth game, because this is what I was doing. It was like a 16-year-old game in Spain. If you go to a youth soccer game in the United States, how did the players get there?
Well, okay. You're not giving me the layups in this one. If it's a school-related event and it's a school team, they got there in bus. But yeah. if it's anything else, it was done by car.
Yeah, their parents drove them.
Their parents drove them, exactly.
Yeah, so this game, like, it was 16-year-olds, none of them had licenses or whatever, and, like, I finished the game, changed into street clothes, and went to wait for the bus to pick me up so I could just get to the other side of town, and there were, like, 10 kids from both teams also waiting for the bus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I was like, this is awkward, I just refereed you guys. I'm like, no, we don't care, like, you're not Spanish, what the hell are you doing refereeing? Like, why would you want to do that? It's like, we're not mad at you about the game or anything. We're just like puzzled because we can't imagine why like a foreigner would want to come and referee here.
It seems like a really, really strange thing to do. I might observe a game and watch the referees, but to want to be participating in a game, but that's what you want to do, man. Do it up. So, can we hit the next one? That I didn't realize this, but it says songs with swear words being broadcast on the radio and not being covered with the beep tone on the radio or on TV are pretty common in most other countries. But in America, where we're all about being free and freedom of speech, many swear words are not allowed on the radio.
Well, go further with this. So like nudity,
Nudity. Yeah.
and like not just nudity in like the press or in media of like nudity in like a newspaper or on TV, but just being comfortable with nudity in general. Like there's no such thing as a clothing optional beach in Europe. They all are.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not like you have a clothing optional beach and a regular beach. It's just that there's the beach and there's a naked dude. Okay.
Yeah, I think it probably depends where you are, but yeah, a lot of countries are
At
not
least
like.
when I was in Spain, like the beaches that I went to, like there was a variety of exposure.
I'm sure there was, but that stayed also on the beach. It stayed in kind of the swimming. Hey, you're going swimming. You're going to be in the sun. You take off your clothes. You wouldn't then leave the sand, go up to the boardwalk, go into the shopping store completely naked.
No, I don't think so. I think it's generally accepted that like if you're naked on the beach, that's within the parameters. But if you want to go into a store or go to a bar or something after the beach, you're gonna put your clothes back on.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
like for me, it was kind of useful because like I'd bring my wetsuit down to the beach, and there was no like public bathrooms or anything around. And I was like, where am I gonna change? Oh wait, other people are naked. I can just do it here. Who cares?
Yeah. Um, yeah, nudity is very strange, and
Well,
nudity is
and
very
it also brings a really good point of like we talk about how we have all these freedoms and stuff, but then you look at like the laws that we have restricting things, and then you look at other countries and be like, they don't care. We do. Who's more
strange.
free?
Exactly. Yeah, we go touting our freedom, and it's very strange to see people like just talking about how freaking free that we are. When not only are we not that free in many aspects, but we're also like very Puritan. We don't like swear words on the radio, uh, and we're totally anti-nudity. So much the fact that I go to the locker room and I don't feel comfortable if somebody's like up in my personal space. I'm like, yes, but also a lot of locker rooms people just hang out and just stand around and talk naked. That's a little much for me.
I
But
don't
some
understand that.
but some people need to go into a private changing room uh, away from everybody else who's just comfortable changing. Yeah,
Well, that's not weird
that,
to me at all because like so last Saturday I had a soccer game at a college 3.5 hours away, and so after the game we showered off, and so they had like little shower stalls that were it was a locker room. It was just like one room, and it was like shower stall, bathroom, and then like and the rest of it was just open space, right? So there wasn't like a dividing line between like anything, but the shower stalls had curtains on them, which was nice. And so, like, out of respect for the people that were in the room with me, like I closed the curtain to the shower and took off my clothes there, and then like put a towel around my waist, and then grabbed the stuff, and then like put myself back together behind the curtain as well, because I'm just like I don't really want to see them naked. I'm going to assume they don't want to see me naked.
thank you for the narration. It's still a locker room. I I don't know. I think some people are just very fearful in that respect. Uh, but to each their own. I just again, it's a very Puritan place. So
Yeah,
uh,
no, it's
and don't
how
get me
we
wrong.
were founded. Who were the
There,
people that came over here?
yeah, the Puritans exactly. That was them. Um, you want to hit the next one here?
So yeah, like this is just about like pro union laws, pro labor laws, worker protection, vacation days. Like again, in terms of like freedom, you can think, are you more free if you get paid vacation days or not? Like paid family leave. Like I think in Sweden you get like 6 months parental leave, paid,
Yeah,
like a national law.
I've talked to people out of this country, like from the office on a Saturday, and they're like, "Well, what are you doing in the office on Saturday?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm working." They're like, well, "Why would you be at work on a Saturday?" But Americans like to work. There's a culture around it, and there's also a culture around making people work and not taking any time off at all, which I think is really backwards. The fact that
France somewhat recently made it illegal for a worker to send an email to you after a certain time, and I think that time was like 5 o'clock.
Yeah, what was this, like 3-4 years ago they did this?
Somewhere around there, yeah.
I heard this. Very strange. All right, let's see. This next one I really like because this was actually in that video with
Yeah, we kind of touched on this a couple weeks ago.
letting kids go to school or walk around the neighborhood themselves without supervision. They said a Dutch family moved to the U.S. They sent their kids to school on their bikes like they always have, and the police showed up to their house with child protective services, saying they were irresponsible parents. And what we talked about, and what that video talked about, who was it? Was it Sam Haight or something like that?
Yeah.
Sam Haight, was that it?
His last name was Haight, but maybe Jonathan? Sam? I don't know.
I think it was Jonathan Haight. I think I'm confusing Sam Harris. But I think it was Jonathan Haight. And, he said, in the 50s and the 60s, kids went to school on their bicycles. They were 6 years old. They would walk down to school. But now kids aren't even allowed to be alone, up to past 12 years old.
Yeah.
Past 12 years old. And
why do you think that changed?
Overparenting, I think.
But like, why? What's the underlying cause? Because, yes, overparenting is what it is, but what led to the overparenting? What led to this shift?
Well, I think that there's probably several things, but I think our culture has, like they're always trying to improve upon things, and there's an element of like, I'm doing this better than you are, therefore I should shame you. So I'm making and the safety culture. So I'm keeping my kids safer so that they're at less dangerous. Shame on you. And you're a bad parent. I'm a better parent. And our culture around keeping kids safe. There's a lot of factors that are all going in that direction. And that, like, just we raise children in such a safe society. Like, you're going to put together an army, of people who had no adversity and no risk in their entire lives. How is that going to play out in the world stage in 15, 20 years? I'm not saying we have to be hard on all of our kids, but
it's just odd to me that the generation that grew up being able to walk or bike to school, then all of a sudden had such a hang up on letting their own kids do the same. It's just, it doesn't make sense on its own.
I got a good example for you. The Don't Say Gay bill, which actually doesn't say don't say gay, but it says we don't want you talking to our kids under a certain age about sex. Here's where you got to draw that line. Okay. And I'm going to draw both ends of the spectrum. Okay. So one is we allow children who are 3 years old to be exposed to sex and rape culture and porn, because most porn is kind of, I don't know if we mentioned this in the last episode, a lot of porn is very rapey. And that's happening at an early age, right? And we're not restricting any exposure to them. And then the other one is we don't give them sex education until they're 17 or 18 years old, because you're pushing it too far. We don't want, you got to strike a happy medium there. Right?
Yeah, there's this concept of age appropriate instruction,
but it's so subjective also. Like, it's really difficult.
But
I don't think saying I don't think saying to a kindergarten teacher, like, we don't want you talking to kids about sex, but then if a kid comes in with a situation, or maybe the kid had some sexual trauma at home, and you're not going to address it in the classroom setting, but
in the way that the bill is written is also problematic, because let's say you've got, I don't know, a first grader that has same-sex parents. Are you not allowed to address that at all? Because as a teacher, you can find a way of addressing that in an age-appropriate way that doesn't talk about sex at all.
But also, like, if I got Larry over here who's talking about his two dads, I'm going to be like, wait, Larry has two dads? Like, how does that work? Like, it's going to come up. It's going to come up.
Right, exactly. So, by preventing the teacher from being able to talk about it at all, it just adds to the confusion, because the other kids might not understand how somebody in the classroom could have two dads. And if you have the teacher, like, address it in an appropriate way, then
but also that law makes it very confusing. If I come home and say, if I'm in class and I go, wait, Larry has two dads, and the teacher goes, well, that's how Larry's family is, and then I come home and say, hey, mom and dad, my teacher told me that Larry's family has two dads, and that's just how it is. That could be misconstrued, and it could be brought back to the school board, and the teacher could.
yeah, oh no, now the parents have to do something like talk to their kids and parent.
It's just, but again, when it comes to the safety thing, there is a line that needs to be drawn somewhere. I live very close to a school. I'd like for my kids to be able to walk to the school, or at least bicycle to it at a pretty early age, because it's a very safe distance, very safe neighborhood. And there is a slight risk, but also when those kids turn 16, I'm going to let them drive a car, and there's a shit ton of risk in that. But they could pull out of the driveway and get plowed over. That's my kid when they're 25 years old could walk down the street and get mugged. Like that's you can't eliminate all risk. So just trying to mitigate risk, by eliminating it is really strange. But we have that culture going on right now, so much that when you say goodbye to someone, you say, "All right, see you later. Be safe," which I don't like at all.
I just say cheers.
Yeah, cheers isn't a bad one.
All right, next item. Post office or delivery companies leaving stuff unattended on your porch.
They do that here.
No, but like they're saying in Europe that doesn't happen.
But then you have to wait until you're home during the daytime, or you got to go to the depot to pick up your stuff.
Someone says in Germany they'll leave it with a neighbor.
And they spelled neighbor with a U.
So maybe they're British.
Yeah, I don't know. But that's not a bad idea either.
You just have to like your neighbor.
Well, your neighbor's got to like you, really. So
that's what it went. It's got to go both ways.
What's the next one you got?
Take your shoes off when you walk in the door.
Yeah, a lot of people in the U.S. don't do that.
I think that's a good system.
I read this and I was thinking about this. I was thinking, like, there are some people I would rather them leave their shoes on in my house. Like, they weren't in the mud. Their shoes aren't like, they don't have dog shit in them. I would rather them track like a little dust from the driveway into my house than their sweaty feet. Ugh. But
well, that's why I wear socks.
You just got to clean the floor more often, I think.
Yeah.
We have people over. I don't make everybody take their shoes off.
All right, hold on. So Kevin says the neighbor with a U. So dropping the U is an American thing, and he says it's because newspaper ads used to charge by the character. So if you could drop a letter out of a word, it would mean that your copy would be less expensive to print.
Makes sense.
Mandatory voting.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that, but I don't think it's a terrible idea. I don't know why it's so blurry all of a sudden.
Yeah, your focus got screwed. But yeah, so I know in Australia, for example, it's mandatory to vote, and they have 90% turnout. And you know what the penalty is if you don't vote? It's a $20 fine.
Well, I mean, at least it's a reasonable fine. I think having a reasonable fine sounds reasonable to me.
Right. It's not like you're going to go to jail or you're going to have several $1,000s at you. It's a small fine, but it makes a big difference.
Well, it's just there's some incentive to vote, or disincentive to vote.
Yeah, and I think getting more people to vote in this country would help solve a lot of our problems.
Yeah, I'll buy that. I'm on number 14 down here, by the way.
You're on 15?
14.
14. The number of rooms in the description of apartments.
So, we see a lot of apartments. this mostly is coming from the landlord, but it will say this is a 3-room apartment, which actually means 1-bedroom apartment. Or you'll see a 1-room apartment means a studio. And people will confuse that. They'll think the 3-room apartment, which is actually the 1 bed, they'll think that is a 3-bedroom. So why not just list the number of bedrooms?
Yeah, I was looking at listings in New York City, and I saw some stuff listed as 0 bedrooms. I was like, "What is that?" And it was like, "Oh, that's a studio."
It'll be a studio. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm like, how can you have a 0 bedroom?
Beats me.
Um,
Open borders.
yeah, you can thank 9/11 for that.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely big time. Before that, we were pretty open to go to Canada, right?
Yeah, Canada, you didn't really like. I went to Canada. Well, actually, this would have been after 9/11, but like they tightened things up even more sometime after that. But I went to Canada when I was 18, and all I needed was like my driver's license. I didn't have a passport at the time.
Yeah.
But at some point, like pretty soon after that, they tightened down the restrictions even more.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I was watching a video about border towns in between the United States and Canada, and a couple of like some small cross-border areas where like you've got like, for example, there's this town in Washington that's on like a little peninsula of Canada that sticks down, and so like in order to get back to the United States from this town, you either have to take a ferry to Seattle, or you have to drive north into Canada, east, and then back south to get into the United States. So to get from this place in the United States, you have to cross into Canada and then out of Canada. And they were talking about how, like, when we shut down the border with Canada because of COVID, how like it effectively trapped all these people on this small little like stub of American soil in what would otherwise be Canada, and how like the closing of the borders with Canada has wrecked a lot of these border communities where you've got these people that live in these cities, and they're basically both American and Canadian at the same time, because like there's not really a difference between one side of town versus the other.
Yeah. No, I mean exactly. That's what makes it funny. You want to skip to 19? Because this is a funny one. It's very often in New York City.
I was gonna say I've seen this before, and I always thought it was weird. Of like when you get your check at a restaurant, like most of the time they'll bring you the receipt, and then you'll put your card in the book, and then they'll go walk away, and bring you back a copy to sign. But
yeah. Whereas in most other places, they're bringing the credit card terminal to you and doing it at the table, which they've been doing that a lot more in New York. And it's very weird to watch. Now it's weird, for me, they're doing it the way they do it in the rest of the world. But your waiter comes over and hands you the machine and then stares at you while you tip them and rate them in front of them. It's
yeah. So number 20, we already kind of talked about a little bit, like being on like sitting a foot away from a complete stranger and then completely ignoring them. How like in the United States, like you'll kind of people will start conversations just because. And obviously not in New York City, but New York City is different. Like if you do that in Charleston, if you're sitting next to somebody, let's say you're waiting somewhere, like people are just going to be talking to strangers in a line in Charleston.
Oh, I know. I remember going to the grocery store and some random stranger would come up and ask me what I was cooking and what I was doing on the weekend. I was like, how is this any of your business?
Yeah.
It was so weird to me. It was just like, just mind your own business. We're not going to, this is information that has zero relevance in your life when I'm going to be eating for dinner.
So I've managed to combat this phenomenon by wearing headphones whenever I'm out in public.
Only works so well, especially
it works great.
Especially if you're a lady, it's going to be a lot more difficult. All right.
Let's keep going. Let's see. Some of these are kind of repeating themselves. Oh, automatic versus standard transmission.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like it's fading out everywhere, but
No, it's not. It's still very much like a big thing in Europe because it's
I don't
still
know.
like 80% of cars in Europe are manual.
Yeah, I think that's a big jump. It was near
It was like
100%.
95 plus
Yeah,
before.
yeah.
Like when I was in Spain, and granted this was 2007, I actively looked for cars that were automatic, and I think I saw like 3 in 6 months.
Yeah. The next one's pretty good. I like the next one here.
Charging for water at a restaurant?
Yeah, what the fuck?
That's bullshit, man.
Well, I mean, now you can't even get water if you live in a certain place in California. So,
Well, yeah, but that's not because people are trying to get rich. It's just because there isn't any.
exactly. That's wild.
On the topic of water, bidets.
Yeah, that seems pretty common uh, pretty uncommon in New York City, or I'm sorry,
It's
in the
not
U.S.
common in the States in general.
Yeah, no, it's. I always thought it was really funny to see a bidet in a bathroom, but I don't know. I think they're making a bit of a resurgence here.
I think they got really popular during the great toilet paper shortage of 2020.
Oh yeah, well maybe. I know they're selling those new the new toilet seats that have the built-in bidet or the do-it-yourself home plumber.
Yeah.
So
I can't believe we haven't mentioned this one yet. Socialized medicine.
was
A
that on this
topic
list?
so complicated and difficult to employ that only 31 out of the 32 developed nations have managed to pull it off.
Yeah. Not here in the United States.
Like it's just something that, like, if you talk to foreigners about this, they have such a hard time understanding why we have the system that we do. They're just like, why would you guys choose this system? It sucks in every possible way, yet you're doing nothing to change it.
I mean, it's. I don't understand how it is so bad here, and how there's so many other countries you can just go to the drugstore and get certain drugs over the counter, and you cannot do that here in the U.S.
Well, like many things American, the underlying explanation is monetary,
Yeah, of
where
course. I mean, there's a
we
lot
have
more.
this tremendous system of bureaucracy and red tape surrounding everything medical, where if we were to go to a single payer system, you'd have entire industries, the entire managed healthcare industry, all the people that aren't doctors, their jobs would just go away. Now, some of them would probably be able to get employed by the government, helping manage in the government policies. But you've got all these middlemen that are making crap loads of money by gumming up the process.
Um, all right, let's hit another one here. We got a couple minutes left. What are we missing that's good on this list here?
I didn't see too much else. Here's another one. This one's small, but non-Americans can't understand fake cheese.
Well, I think Americans may not understand fake cheese. Actually, I
No,
think they may not
that's true.
realize they're eating and they believe to be cheese is in fact what oil is it that they use in this stuff?
Hydrogenated, like
Hydrogenated,
canola oil or something, or I don't know.
Velveeta cheese or the cheese in a can. All that shit is crap.
When was the last time you had cheese in a can?
I honestly, I have no idea. I saw it on TV recently. My sister used to love them. We were kids. I never liked it, but I can't even think of the last
I
time.
feel like it's probably been 20 years, and my only recollection of it was like how incredibly salty it was and how terrible the texture was.
Well, it doesn't taste anything like cheese.
No.
That's the issue. It doesn't taste at all like cheese. I like
here's
cheese.
another good one. In public bathrooms, the gap between the doors, like usually like the stalls are like floor to ceiling, and the door shuts completely flush, so that there's no gap where you can like peer in accidentally.
So for those of you who are American, you'll know that our toilet stalls in the bathrooms here, there's usually a foot tall gap beneath the door, and then in between where the door meets,
Like a half inch or so.
half inch where you can peer in and out of the freaking toilet. So you're sat there with your skivvies down, and just around your ankles, you can see people. They can see you. You can recognize people from under the stall. Most other countries, there's very little gap, if there is one that's not covered, and the doors go where the same distance any other door goes. On that note, though, we got to wrap.
We got one more. We'll hit this one quick, because it's
All right.
one that, like, if you live in the United States, you wouldn't realize, like, it's weird for everybody else in the world, which is like having ads on TV for pharmaceutical drugs.
Feeling down, feeling under the weather. Well, you might need Slobodex.
Yeah. It's like
That's
there's
coming
only
from-
one other country in the world that allows like this direct to consumer marketing, and it's just like, yeah, New Zealand allows it, but like every other country is like, you're not going to see an ad for like Zoloft or some crap on TV.
Well, they're effectively like, encouraging you to self-diagnose.
Well, it's always catch with talk to your doctor about.
yeah.
And like, I always thought it was just really stupid how they phrase them. Like, do you ever get tired in the morning? And then side effects may include like fatigue.
Oh God,
and
pharmaceutical.
it also be like, does your hair like feel a little bit oily sometimes? Try this drug. Side effects may include nausea, diarrhea, seizures, migraines, heart palpitations, and death. Talk to your doctor about less oily hair. You're like, wow, why?
It's like maybe a big trade, but Americans are pretty bad at measuring risk. So, hey, your kids are going to school. You got to stop them.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? It's just like it's this drug that seems like it solves an extremely minor problem, and then you read the side effects, and you're like, holy shit.
Huge potential implications. All right, we gotta wrap. Our time is up. I want to thank you guys for joining us discussing what is obnoxiously American. And on that note, James, enjoy your run. Chug a beer every lap, and
It's just gonna be one lap.
you got a new place. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it off air. Adios, everyone. Thanks for joining. All right, that wraps up this episode of Obnoxiously American. Join us next time. And in the meantime, don't forget there's nearly 200 episodes. You can watch any hour of the day. You can listen on all audio podcast platforms, and we would love to see you there. See you next time.
I like PBR. I just got priced out of it.